And at the conclusion of the show, if you can just stay on the line, then we can just, chat informally.
Sure.
Although the whole thing will probably be informal. Actually, my interviews tend to be pretty, I don't know, out of left field sometimes. So I don't know, see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
So I'll do the opening as though I'm on the radio, and
Okay.
this is CKDU 88.1 FM in Halifax, Nova Scotia. You're listening to Non-Duality Talk. I'm Jerry Katz. My guest is Leonard Jacobson, whose website is leonardjacobson.com. I've known about you for a long time, Leonard, for years. We never seem to have connected, have we?
I've been around for quite a long time.
Yeah. When did you start some kind of formal, teaching? When did that all happen?
Probably 1982, if my memory serves me correctly.
Really?
Yeah,
I know you've been around a long time, but that's going back.
it is. It's about 33 years. I mean, obviously, I began in Australia, and about 15 years ago, I was invited to the United States, to New York, to run a workshop, and I never went home. I just stayed. So that's what happened.
Yeah. How come you didn't go back?
Oh, I just felt attracted to be here. I kept getting invitations to run more workshops, so I just stayed. For the first 5 years in America, all I had was a small Subaru Impreza. Everything I owned fitted into the Impreza. I didn't have a home. I just responded to invitations, and when somebody would invite me to come and stay with them, I did, and then I'd share the teaching there, and then maybe 3 months later, I was invited somewhere else, and for 5 years, that's how I lived here in America, and then eventually I settled down in California, near Santa Cruz.
So wait, you lived out of your Impreza?
I didn't live in the car. Everything I owned fitted into the
Fit
car,
into it.
and I would drive to wherever I was invited. I just kept
Oh,
responding to invitations.
oh man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a really good time.
Back in those days, the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah, so you live in Santa Cruz, but where are you? I mean, I think Mary, your partner, was telling me, where are you guys now?
Well, we're very close to Canada. I'm in International Falls, which is right on the Canadian border. And this is the reason we're here is because Mary grew up in International Falls. She was raised here. And about 2 years ago, we bought a cabin on the lake here. There's a gorgeous big lake here. So
What state are you in?
we're in Minnesota.
Okay. And by the way, there's construction going on, all right? There's a carpenter in the house I wasn't aware of, so you might hear banging. And across
Okay.
the road, there's a huge empty lot, and they're going to build, like a huge apartment building there. So the heavy equipment is like pounding rock, and it's like crazy here. I
Well,
don't know if you can hear it or what, but
I can't hear it from my
oh,
end.
good. All right.
I know I can hear it now that you pointed it out.
I shouldn't have seen. There's a whole teaching on that. Now that I pointed it out, you're going to hear banging all day, I guess. I
Well,
don't know.
it's part of the interview.
Or yeah,
It's a part of the present moment. Let's put it that way.
maybe the carpenter's, a more interesting guy to talk to. What do we know? I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows? Anyway, so you're in International Falls. I've heard of it, but I wasn't sure what state it was in. And what are you doing there? Like you have a cottage there or something or house?
No, I'm just relaxing. It's my time off. I travel a lot, and so this is I'm spending a month up here,
Yeah, that's nice.
some R&R.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's good.
What's your day like up there? Just relax, take a walk,
Well, you
eat.
pretty much. I just bought a boat, so we get in the boat and go out on the boat, or we've got a canoe. We go out canoeing. It's pretty idyllic. Or I
Yeah.
might lie on the hammock just outside of my window and I rest. Take it easy. I mean, I've always got work to do, so there's always something I have to do. But
So you're working whether it's private clients, preparing for, I don't know if you're prepared for meetings or you got to prepare for travel or I don't know. I don't know what keeps you busy. But anyway, I mean, do you find you have to, I mean, you're a teacher. Do you
Right.
find you have to work sometimes at getting a certain point across? You know, you try to figure out how to communicate a point, or have you been doing it so long?
I never do that, Jerry. I've never. I don't think I've ever spent more than 3 seconds preparing for anything.
That's about as long as I did have prepared for this interview. But
Well, we'll see how it goes.
yeah, because I figure when I talk to people, unless they've written a specific book about a specific topic, you have to research that.
Right. Well,
I figure,
I've written quite a few books. I hope you researched them.
oh, I just, I had that, well, give me a few minutes after. But I mean, if there's on specific topics, like I interviewed someone on mythology, so, you know, I had to read some of the
Right.
factual stuff, you know,
Right.
history or,
The reason I don't prepare is because my whole teaching is about being present. So if I'm preparing, I'm hardly present. On the other hand, the teaching is so alive and awake in me that I don't need to prepare.
um, and that's what I feel when I interview some people that if I prepare, it almost creates a kind of a resistance. Um, and other than knowing your website and you know a couple of things about where you live or whatever, but if I find talking to some people, it almost doesn't matter what you talk about because the message is going to come through in talking about anything. I mean,
Well, I have a very, what's the word? A very focused teaching that I very rarely deviate from.
yeah. Um, I guess at some point we got to talk about that. But I'm more interested in people, and so now Mary wrote me.
Yes,
Mary's your partner, girlfriend. I don't know.
she's my partner, and we have a non-profit organization which she's the executive director. So she does a lot of the work involved with that. She's got the hard part. I've got the easy part.
Yeah. Have your audiences changed much over the since the early '80s? I mean, there's been well, have they changed much? Have the questions changed much?
Um, I think what I've noticed more than anything over the last 33 years, is that it's so much easier now for people to respond to this teaching. It's so much easier for people to become present than it used to be when I first started. And my teaching is essentially the same as when I first started. So something is going on within human consciousness. Um, it's like there's definitely an opening happening. Otherwise, people couldn't respond as quickly and easily as they are at the moment. And, I teach all over the world, and it's quite surprising to me. More recently, I've been going to China a lot, and it's amazing to me how responsive and ready the Chinese people are, or the ones that come to my retreats are anyway. It's quite exciting. Same with Japan.
That's interests me. I used to joke when I first went online on the internet that you know I have 1 billion followers in China because I mean who's going to check? You know, who knows?
Right.
But you actually have a lot of followers in China. Are you the main guy who has followers in China? Because I don't know who else does.
I don't know who else does, but I've been going up for probably the last 40 year, and it's definitely an expanding community. It's nice. I like it.
Do they? What part of China is it? Beijing or where?
And I travel around to different cities.
Yeah.
So I've been in Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, wherever. So-
Now, do they understand English or is there a translator? Or
No, I have a translator. Every word I speak is translated, and every word they speak is translated back to me.
Hmm.
It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it seems to be working.
Yeah. So for some reason, well, for some good reason, I guess they're drawn to your teaching, like other people are and have been.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. It's definitely needed over there, that's for sure.
Could you, or have you, or any hints of getting any kind of a national resistance to your teaching?
Well, so I'm pretty careful what I say. I don't say anything that's going to upset the government. And I mean, I remember one time I had the whole group dancing at one stage, and I looked over towards the door, and there were a couple of gentlemen in suits with their arms crossed, looking very sternly upon us. So I've been told that there are often spies in the audience
Yeah, I'm sure.
to check out what's going on.
Yeah, you probably they probably don't want anyone being like fanatically. They don't want anyone fanatically following anyone because
No, I mean, if you start speaking too much about Jesus or this one or that one, you'll get thrown out pretty quickly.
Or if you get anyone maybe, doing, I don't know, I guess any sign of excessive unity might be looked at as being defiant to the unity that should be, acknowledged to the government itself.
Right, right. I mean, as long as you don't speak about the government, I think generally speaking, it's okay. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen or who they're going to turn upon. But I have no problem with it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I don't know how to do these interviews. I mean, I can make it easy and go to your website, and you have a bunch of questions listed, and I can just repeat them. But
It's up to you.
I don't like doing that. But people should know what your teaching is. I mean, who was telling? I was talking to Nancy Murray, who wanted to initiate an interview,
Oh, right, right, yeah.
and anyway, I got talking to her. I ended up interviewing her, and so she was saying how your teaching is like a two-part teaching, basically. So is that accurate? And can you?
Yeah, what I describe the teaching as a two-step dance of awakening. And it's very, very simple. It's step one is learning the art of being present, which is essential as the first step. And once you really can uh, awaken to a certain level of presence within you, you know how to be present, then you can embark upon step two, which is bringing conscious awareness to all the ways you're involuntarily pulled out of the present moment. To be present is our natural state. It's completely unnatural to be lost in the mind, constantly thinking constantly in the past and future. Uh, Although it's unnatural, it's normal because that's the state of the human condition. So the first step is to share a very simple way. I share a very simple key to coming out of the mind, out of the past and future, out of the story, out of the dream, into the truth and reality of the present moment. And when we're truly present, the mind falls silent, thoughts stop without our even attempting to stop them. So that's the first step, just to really, really settle in and feel and experience what it's like to be present. In fact, you don't really know that you've been lost in the mind until you become present. Then it becomes very obvious, very apparent. To be present is a transcendent state. It's transcendent of thought. It's transcendent of the past and future. And once you experience it, you recognize, how you've been lost in the story, lost in the dream. So that's all step one. Then step two is to bring conscious awareness to all the ways that we're involuntarily pulled out of the present moment. And I share a pretty simple way to deal with that. I talk about coming into right relationship with the ego, coming into right relationship with judgment, coming into right relationship with our repressed feelings, and some other things that really help us relax and settle more fundamentally into the present moment so that we can live our lives on a day-to-day basis more fundamentally present, not lost in the story, lost in the past, which is how it is for most people. With most people, the thoughts never stop. They just keep coming whether we intend to think or not. And the consequence of that, the result of that is we're virtually imprisoned within the world of the mind because the thoughts never stop. All thinking takes you into the world of the mind. There's no exception. Even profound spiritual thought, non-dual thought, thought about nothingness or oneness, it's all thought which ultimately will take you into the mind. So the question is, how can we transcend thought, open into a very, very deep state of presence and experience what's really here, free of our projections? So step one leads to presence. Step two will ultimately lead to mastery of the mind and ego. And from my perspective, both steps are essential for true awakening.
Yeah, we were on our Facebook group. It was someone said. I think I wrote. Yeah, I'm just on the Facebook group, and I wrote, "Can someone finish this sentence?" So, Leonard, I'll give you a chance to finish the sentence if it makes sense to you in any case. So the sentence is, "Thoughts are the waste products of." Anything Again,
Yeah.
if you want to look at thoughts as waste products, I mean, assuming, if you want to take that view.
Well, it depends on the kind of thought. We're quite capable of conscious thinking, but that would be based in presence. I don't know that I relate to that particular way of expressing. Nothing comes to me when you say that. I would probably speak of thoughts in a different way, but I would say thoughts are a deeply ingrained habit that we can't free ourselves from, and what's underneath that habit is our need and deep need to escape the pain that we carry around with us and all the difficult repressed feelings that we carry around with us, trying to live in a world where no one is really present, so full of judgment and rejection and all those things, that thought enables us to escape the present moment. The problem is we've become imprisoned in that escape. We've become too good at escaping the present moment. And the reason we want to escape is because maybe two lifetimes ago, the present moment was very difficult, or maybe in our childhood, the present moment was very difficult, and we develop that habit of escape by thinking. By thinking, I take myself out of the present moment. I take myself into the past or into the future. All thought is either past or future. So it actually serves a fairly useful purpose from that perspective. I mean, not a good purpose, not a useful purpose in the context of escaping. It's essentially a mechanism of escape. I think my way out of here. Then we get imprisoned in that habit. I would say thinking is the greatest addiction. It's a stronger addiction than heroin, alcohol, sex, gambling, all rolled up together. We're all totally addicted to thinking and we can't stop. And ironically, the reason we're all addicted to thinking is exactly the same that some people become addicted to heroin or alcohol. Underneath that, of course, is the need to escape what's here or what you're dealing with or what's buried within you from the past.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're all thinking about sex, money, drugs, alcohol, pizza.
Whatever.
Yeah, habits. That's what I'm looking at some of the responses in Danya Durga Moffat, who's a very serious student of Advaita, traditional Advaita,
Right.
in response to that question. Thoughts are the waste products of. She said habits. Um,
It's deeper than a habit. It's a serious addiction.
yeah. These are I think are one word responses.
Right.
Um, it's a serious addiction. I think this is what some of the people who deal in addiction, some of the non-dual teachers who come from addictions therapy,
Right.
basically say that the addiction to the self, the small self, which I guess maybe that's the same thing you're talking about, thinking, thoughts.
Right.
That's the fundamental addiction. Um, yeah. Do you get into addiction? Does your work
No.
border on? Well, I guess, or is that you just said that basically? It's basically what.
I'm just referring to the thoughts, the fact that we can't stop thinking. I'm just referring to that as an addiction, which keeps us imprisoned within the mind, which is a very limited level of consciousness. So the whole point of awakening is to awaken out of that past and future world of the mind, out of that world of illusion and separation, into a deep level of presence where oneness is revealed. I mean, that's the essence of non-duality as far as I can tell. To how can we free ourselves from that dual world? How do we free ourselves in the moment, only in the moment? How do we free ourselves and become so deeply present that oneness reveals itself to us? And of course, at the deepest levels of presence, it's not just oneness that is revealed. The presence of God is revealed in all things present. Heaven on earth is revealed at the very deepest levels of presence.
Hmm.
But not everyone's ready for that. Not everyone's interested in that. So,
Yeah.
and one of the problems is even with non-duality, that can just so easily become another philosophy. And to the degree that you believe in non-dual philosophy, you're just lost in the mind like everyone else.
That's interesting. What you said is that the oneness is revealed to you. It almost sounds like for someone who's striving for oneness, that it sounds like a reversal. It's like oneness.
Striving for oneness will prevent you ever experiencing oneness.
It sounds like a reversal then, for oneness to be revealed.
Oneness is already here, but we've disconnected from it because we've become too absorbed into the world of the mind. the world of understanding, the world of thought, the world of belief. We've become too absorbed into that world. And but oneness is here, truth is here. You have always been a fully awakened being, a Buddha, Christ being, an eternal being. You have always been that, and you always will be, but to the extent that you're caught up in your mind, believing in your beliefs, ideas, concepts, thoughts, then you disconnect from the truth that is ever present within you. That's why seeking doesn't work, because that which you seek is already here. That's the problem with it. That which you seek is already here. So really it's a question of, number one, knowing the way out of the mind and how to settle into presence, and number two, relaxing. Too many people, I meet way too many people trying to be present or seeking oneness or seeking, the worst is those who are seeking nothingness. They're trying to disappear, which doesn't make any sense to me. Even though nothingness is a reality at the very center of who we are, to seek it just indicates to me that at some unconscious level they're trying to escape.
Yeah. So what do people want from you then? The methodology, I guess, is...
Well, the people come to be with me or to share in this teaching for two things. Number one, I'm very present, and when people are in my presence, it's not that they're getting anything from me, but my presence is a very powerful invitation for their presence to arise, to be here. Basically in the world, very few people are inviting or calling us to presence. And so to sit with someone who's truly present, whether it's me or some of these other teachers, just being with someone who is present is an invitation to the presence within you to arise, to awaken. It's like stirring the sleeping giant within. So that's the first thing. But the other thing is I share a very clear, a very effective way to free yourself from the bondage that is the world of the mind, to awaken into the truth. So my feeling is we've been looking for this for so many thousands of years, from before Buddha onwards, that it has to become extremely simplified. And I think that's one of the gifts that have been given to me is that this teaching has become very, very simplified. And it needs to be simple because so many of us are remedial, and we need a very simple way of awakening. And it's just time to awaken. The way I see it, Jerry, is that with the advances in technology, we have the potential to be incredibly destructive, and therefore the awakening of consciousness has to catch up and then go beyond technology. That's what's needed, really, because that's what we need. We need the awakening of human consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you.
No. I mean,
how is your presence? We talk about, when I say your presence, I mean the presence of someone who's present. How is that different from the presence of a tree, the ocean, or a mountain?
It's actually not. But if you really become present, you'll feel the presence of the tree or the ocean or the mountain. Most people are not present enough to feel it. But, I would say, I mean, the presence is always here in everything, but we don't experience it, for the most part, if we're lost in the mind. So as you become more and more present, you start to feel the presence in the trees. Now, the trees are beautiful. If you can sit there, I mean, my awakening occurred in the first place in 1981 because I became exceedingly present with the trees and the river and the rocks and the sky. It happened spontaneously. I didn't know what was happening to me, but that's when I reflect upon it, that's what happened. I just became extremely present with what is here in the moment with me, whether it's the tree or the sky or the river, the ocean, the lake, just to be present with what's right here with you in your direct field of experience. You can only be present with something that you can see, hear, feel, taste, touch, or smell. And the problem is, if you turn being present into a concept or presence into a concept, then again you're just reinforcing the world of the mind. It's pretty challenging because when you're present, it really is beyond understanding. This is one of the hardest things for people to get a handle on. That to really be present, you have to surrender the need to understand. It's only the ego that needs to understand so it can remain in control. And how many of us are ready to actually let go of the need to understand what's really here? Even the scientists with their quantum physics and everything, sooner or later will have to recognize that you can't understand what's really here. You can only be so present that you know it from your own experience in silence.
Yeah. I don't know.
Now,
I'm thinking about the thing with the tree. So I'm on your website where you talk about your awakenings, and you had a few awakening experiences. I mean, did you push any of them? I mean, was there ever like I got to awaken? But I mean, with the initial one, probably that was spontaneous. So there was no just living your life, and this thing happened.
well, no, I was actually attending a retreat at the time, but I wasn't looking for awakening. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't looking for presence. I didn't know what it was. This awakening occurred
What were
spontaneously
you looking for? Why did you go to the retreat?
because it was Christmas time. I didn't know what to do with myself as a vacation, so I thought, oh, well, I'll just go to a retreat. I didn't know the person running it. I didn't know anyone in the group. It was a fairly small group, but I thought, well, this is a nice way to spend 7 days, so that's what I did. It was in a beautiful setting. It was a very powerful Aboriginal spot in Australia at that time, in a very remote, beautiful area. And what happened to me was quite spontaneous and unexpected. And at the time, I didn't really know what it was, but there was no denying it. I've had a total of 6 of those awakenings over about 18 years. And I never intended any one of them. I never looked for it. I didn't want it, and I never held on to one of them. When it passed, it passed. But with each awakening, of course, it integrated within my consciousness. It took me about 3 years after each awakening to integrate what I'd opened into, so that the awakened consciousness integrated within me. It's really an important part of it is to allow that integration to take place so you can function in the world in a normal way, but still very, very much in touch with or open to that awakened consciousness.
That's interesting. So you said you never were looking for it. They're all kind of
Not once, no.
spontaneously. But when people come to see you, they're kind of looking for it. I mean, why don't you just tell them to get the heck out of there, go to the beach or go to the mountains or something?
Because, look, whether you take Buddha or anyone else, Buddha, Ramana Maharshi, and all the people you might read about that have had very powerful awakenings, they're really awakening or enlightenment experiences. And like all experiences pass. That's the simple truth. If you try to hold on to it, you'll shut it down. If you look for it, you'll never find it. They're experiences that pass. So the real question is not the experience itself, but who is experiencing. And the one who is experiencing never passes. Who is experiencing the enlightenment experience? I am. Who is present in this moment? I am. Who is hearing you if you speak, when you speak? I am. If I'm present, it's really the I am presence that is the awakened you, the I am that you are.
Yeah. So, I mean, how can any individual, any mountain, any tree, any planet, any view of the Milky Way, anything awesome? How is that more powerful than that I am presence or consciousness, or how is it different from it?
It's not. It's the I am presence is pure consciousness. How I would describe it at the very deepest level is pure consciousness beyond form and beyond content. Now, you can't think about that. Pure consciousness beyond form and beyond content. That's who I am at the very deepest level. That's who you are. Now, as pure consciousness beyond form and content, it's such a blessing that I happen to be in physical form, fully present here, present with what is here. If that's all that it was, I'm utterly present with what is here. Pure consciousness housed in the body, looking out through the eyes, hearing through the ears. At that level, if I remained at that level, I would experience heaven on earth. There's no question about it. It's the most exalted state. It's the most beautiful state. I've experienced that state of heaven on earth many times. I experienced it in my first awakening. Actually, I experienced it in every awakening. And it's always here at a very subtle level. Even though I don't always experience it at that deep level, it's always here, heaven on earth. Um, so that pure consciousness is the essence that is in everything. Whether it's a tree, the sky, some distant planet, or whether it's you or me, there is a pure consciousness at the very heart of all things present. For me, I'm quite happy to call that pure consciousness or that pure presence that is in all things present. I'm more than comfortable calling that God. I know many people are not, but I am. And in fact, to know it as God, this silent presence at the very heart of all things present, it actually opens it up even deeper. So in a way, we have to clear out all the crap that was taught to us and given to us about God, so we can reopen ourselves to God in that pure state, transcendent of duality, transcendent of religion. Just God as the silent presence at the very heart of all things present.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes it sound like there's nothing wrong, and yet
There's nothing wrong,
there's
Jerry.
almost a premise that there is something wrong. Otherwise, why would there be teachers and students and
Well, wait a minute, Jerry. There's nothing wrong, really, except for one thing. We're all lost in unconsciousness. We're all the prodigal sons and daughters, lost in time, lost in duality, lost in the past, lost in the future. We're just lost. So the only sin is the sin of our unconsciousness. We're lost in unconsciousness. And that applies to almost everyone on the planet. So of course, if there's going to be an opening, there has to be some people who awaken and free themselves from that, and then who can bring forth a teaching that is clear and will support and guide others towards that liberation. The problem is so many teachers are dragging, well, no, I'm not going to say that. We just need those teachers who can guide others who are lost into a very simple place of presence where we're not lost. We don't need all the spirituality. We don't need all the concepts. We don't need religion. We don't need any of it. We don't need Jesus or Buddha for that matter, because Jesus and Buddha exist within you. Both Buddha and Jesus are states of consciousness. When you awaken, you'll awaken to Buddha consciousness, and if you add a little flavor of God into it, then it's going to be Christ consciousness. That exists within each one of us. I'm sure if Ramana was here, he'd not find a problem with anything I'm saying.
Well, I don't have a problem. I'm just trying to.
Right.
I don't know what I'm trying to do.
You do whatever you like, Jay.
I find it very hard to talk to people because, like yourself, who really, you really cut through everything. So for me, it's like, I would rather talk to someone who's, maybe struggling a little more. It just makes there's more traction for the art of interviewing for me. And so I find that this is a problem I deal with. And maybe you have a recommendation for me. But I find it hard to interview people like yourself who, it's okay, you say it, it's obvious, you cut through all the crap. There's no crap for me to get traction on.
You don't need the crap. Just keep inquiring. Go deeper and keep inquiring. That's really all that's required. Sometimes I say it's better to find the right question than look for the answer. We have to keep finding the right question that takes us to a deeper level. If you find the right question, the answer will be there. So I guess as the interviewer here, you just have to find the right questions that draw out of me what might be of value to those listening. I'm not doing this interview for my own sake. I'm sharing this teaching for those who might be listening to your interview. And if it's of value to them, great. If it's not, well, they'll just hang up. Who cares? It's not my problem. It's not my responsibility. But I did an interview recently on Bat Gap.
Yeah.
And we had a tremendous response to that. Now, I'm sure I got a whole bunch of people who thought I was a kook and a crackpot, but we also had a tremendous response from people who were really ready for what I'm speaking about.
Oh, yeah.
The simplicity of this way of awakening.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a different kind of interview. I get very few, Rick Archer's has a whole other thing going. He's Does a
Right.
great. He really appeals to a large audience. He does a great job.
Right. But so far, this is going well in my view, Eric. Jerry, so just keep going with it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just
You're being you. You're
I'm just
being
telling you
real.
where I'm standing, and what I find is that if I'm talking to someone who's, I think I said this earlier, if I'm speaking to someone who's present and awakened, you can talk. You should be able to talk. Should be able to talk about anything. You know, like pizza or anything.
Well, I don't eat pizza.
Why not? That's the question.
It's
Now I
not
got a
just,
good question here.
yeah, why not? Because it's not good for my carbohydrate levels.
Are you on the?
Um,
Because yeah, I think I'm on that same diet.
yeah, I'm
I don't
trying to
eat well.
control the carb intake and
Yeah,
trying to stay healthy so I can live till a reasonable age.
so we can make. Yeah, I'm on the same diet for the last few years, and it works well. But
Yeah.
I'll still sneak a piece of pizza once in a while. But
Well, okay, I'm going to confess, me too, once in a while.
see, now that's the question I wanted to ask.
Yeah, got me, Jerry.
About how often? Like once a month, once every couple of months?
Probably once every couple of months, I'll have a small pizza, but I
Yeah,
won't go to a. It'll be more if I'm at a restaurant and I don't see anything that's appealing on the menu, but they do have pizza, so I'll order a pizza.
hard to resist. But it's now some people who are allergic to wheat really can't touch it. But probably guys like you or me are kind of sensitive to it, or we just maybe a little sensitive. But I don't know. But I find I don't really feel that well for a couple of days afterward. But whatever.
Right.
It goes with the beer and the cigars and everything else.
I don't drink beer, and I haven't smoked for about 45 years.
You don't smoke any cigars or anything.
No.
All right.
How old are you, Jerry?
I'm 66.
Oh, well, I trump you.
Really? You look young.
Well, that's true, but I'm 70.
Oh yeah, yeah. You look like you're in your 50s or something from your picture.
Well,
Unless it was taken when you were in your 50s. I don't
no, it was taken a few years ago, but not when I was 50.
Yeah, you look well. And your partner, Mary, looks great.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, yeah. I think a nice thing about relationships, if you're coming from a place of presence and so on, a lot of there still may be, I don't know anything. Just speaking for myself, there may still be moments, but the
Well, I
it's
think
not much to
relationship.
it. They can, there's a lot. The resistance there isn't
Right.
much.
I think the real value of relationship is very simple. It's companionship.
Do you find that a person can be more? People talk about being free and independent when they're not in a relationship, but do you feel you could be more free and maybe not more independent, but more free when you're in a relationship?
Well, I don't know about that. I think relationships are extremely difficult, and you have to really work on them. But uh, what I say about relationship is, if you want to hurry up and awaken, get in a relationship, and then pay attention to how you get caught in your story, what you're projecting into the relationship, what's unhealed, unresolved within you, because the relationship will bring it all up. What are your judgments? What are your expectations, your needs? What's unhealed within you? What are the repressed feelings? A relationship will very quickly bring it all up. So I tell people, stay in a relationship until you've learned all your lessons. Look into the mirror that is the relationship. That will really accelerate your awakening. But then there's another kind of relationship which is based in presence. You're not looking for someone to be there for you. You're looking for someone to be there with you. When you change those two words, everything changes dramatically. I don't need you to be here for me, but I would like you to be here with me. In other words, I'd like you to be present. Let's make presence the foundation of our relationship. Then things go pretty smoothly.
So how's your relationship? Do you find that for you, you still have things come up? I mean, can you get rid of all of the conditioning, or do you have stuff that comes up and arises
Well,
and then subsides? And
Well, I have no desire or need to eliminate my humanness. So, on the one level, I'm an awakened being. On another level, I'm human. So, occasionally I'll have feelings that arise. Sometimes I'll get angry. If I get angry, it wouldn't last for more than a few seconds, and I'll apologize immediately. I don't feel hurt. For the most part, I don't have feelings and I don't have issues coming up. But I don't want to
you're not
suggest
going
that I'm
down.
perfect in any way. I'm human,
You're not
like,
going
but
around saying, why me? Why me?
no, no, no. And
Just checking.
I'm not going around omming everywhere either.
You're not arming either.
I'm
So,
just enjoying life, being present, being grateful for what's here. And of course, I get tired and I need to rest and whatever. We've all got our little issues.
do you think it's right? So you say you're an awakened person, and you are, and you have the great presence. I mean, clearly the people around you confirm that. Do you find people want to be like you? Like, what's it like to be like you? Or do you find that, I mean, is that a little nutty, for people to say, what's it like to be an awakened being?
Well,
Is that what kind of an attitude? What's that attitude?
well, first of all, I would say you're not going to be like me. You'll be like you. That's the first thing I'd say. I'm me. You're you. And now the thing is, Jerry, that at a certain level within us, when a certain depth of presence, there's a center within us which is of oneness. So I could literally say, with you and I speaking, there's one being and two expressions of that one being. So,
Yeah.
the oneness unites us, the oneness connects us. Well, that's when we come together truly in communion. And you don't have to be present all the time. If you're present a few minutes every day, but deeply present, it's going to transform your life without making any effort to transform your life. It'll just happen by itself. How it works, how your life transforms through presence is very simple. It's not something you do. As you become present, you literally are. I see this with people all the time. I'm not speaking about me. I'm speaking about all my students who become present or people who are present. When you're present, you are love. That's all there is to it. There's nothing you can do about it. It has nothing to do with who or what you love. When you're present, you are acceptance. There's no judgment. You are compassion. You are empowered from within. You exist in the realization of oneness. This is who you are when you're present. It's not something you do or practice. It's who you are. So naturally, as you become more and more settled and grounded in presence, all these qualities just begin flowing into your life because that's who you are. They just flow naturally into your life. You're not doing it. And of course, your life is going to be transformed because these qualities and energies are flowing into your life and through you. One of the things I will say in my teaching is that the outer world manifests as a reflection of your inner world. So if your inner world is one of peace, silence, love, power, truth, compassion, well, what sort of outer world will flow into your life, will manifest as a result of that? On the other hand, if you're caught within the mind, in the past, in the future, in the story, and your story goes all the way back to your childhood and way back into other lifetimes, if you're caught in your story with fear, with doubt, with guilt, with blame, with anger repressed within you, with hurt, with unfulfilled needs, this is your inner world when you're caught within the story, when you're imprisoned within the mind. Well, what sort of life will manifest for you in that situation? It's quite amazing, Jerry, because our stories are basically programmed in very early childhood. So if in your childhood you develop the belief that well, first of all, there's no one here for you. I'm not loved. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. I'm not worthy. These things start. They start at very, very early age. They start as impressions, and slowly, slowly they form into beliefs. And once they form into beliefs within the mind, that constitutes the programming of the mind, and that basically determines your experience of the rest of your life. So, for example, if as a child, for whatever reason, you got the feeling that you're not loved. Now, maybe your parents really loved you, but they didn't know how to show it, or they weren't really available to you, or they were both too busy, or dad was angry, who knows. But if that belief forms within your mind, which is like a computer, which determines your experience of life, then you'll be amazed. You'll attract all sorts of people into your life who don't know how to love. And even if they do know how to love, you're not going to feel it because at a deeper level, you believe you're not loved. This is the dilemma of life within the world of the mind, life lost in the story. It's all an illusion, none of it's true, but these formed within the mind at an early age. That's the importance and the value of transcending the mind, freeing yourself from the mind, opening into presence, where you come to experience yourself in a totally different way. It really is quite beautiful, and I can't for the life of me uh, understand why everybody isn't excited about such a possibility. And it's not something you have to meditate for 30 years. What I'm speaking of, you can experience in about 10 seconds if you know the way. It doesn't mean it'll last, but at least have that experience of awakened presence, who you really are, beyond the past and future, free of your projections, free of your beliefs. Who are you really in truth? Who are you? If somebody asked me that question, Leonard, who are you? My answer is, I don't know who I am. I just am.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a great question, and I love in these interviews. Again, I'm talking about these interviews in a way. It's my art, I guess, um, and I often say this. I would love to talk to anyone who does anything. I don't care if they're pumping gas or whatever they are, but if I can talk to them about something about their fundamental nature, that to me is really just the kind of interview that I want to do. And like I said, when I'm talking to someone like you, that's all it's about. It's not really about it's an effort to get you to talk about eating pizza or something.
Well, no, I was quite happy to respond to that. You can ask me anything you like, Jerry.
But if you were like, let's say you worked at a gas station, then I could talk about that and your life there, and it just adds a different dimension when I'm talking to someone who's, whatever they do, they're a pilot, they're this, they're that. But I just don't want to talk about, being a pilot or being an artist or even a poet, but always what you're talking about, always the fundamental nature. It's really hard to find people, and you said this earlier, it's just very few people are interested in this. You can talk to people who are activists, who have interests, who have activities, who have passions, but if you try to talk to them about, who is this person? What's underneath it and what's beyond it? I don't think they can talk. I don't know if they can talk about it, and that's.
Well, the reason is they don't know.
And yet they're so intelligent, they're so passionate, they're so involved. They're so maybe well known even, and
But Jerry, if you asked me to talk about, let's say, mathematics, I've got nothing to say to you. It's not my field of expertise. So, if you want to speak about mathematics, you speak to a mathematician. And so this is just this for whatever. I mean, I used to be a lawyer before any of this. I used to be a barrister with a wig and gown. Um, Before any of this happened to me, before my awakenings. And you know, because this happened to me, then it's a direct experience that I can speak of from within my own experience. Yeah, you could speak to someone pumping gas, and they'll probably speak very eloquently and beautifully about the art of pumping gas because that's their field of expertise. They've experienced it directly. They know it from their own experience. So it's just a different, I suppose, a different field of inquiry or a different level of experience.
but they can talk about something deep. Like actually is a guy who, like a couple of blocks from here, who pumps gas, and he's like amazingly friendly, and it's genuine. And he'll tell you about his father, how his father taught him how to do what his father taught him, that whatever you do in life, doesn't matter what work you do, just you know do it with love, do it with commitment and involvement. And he talks about his father, and he talks about his work, he talks about his love for his work, and there's a guy I'd like to interview. There's a guy to try to get underneath what all that is, and what does he mean by love, and
Right.
that would be that would be interesting. I mean,
Well, you're suggesting this is not interesting, Jerry.
this is interesting to a lot of people who want to hear clarity from
Right. Well, I would have thought
a
that's the
person
point of
who
I
has
would
the
have,
gift.
I would have thought that's the point of the interview.
Yeah, a person who has a gift to teach. But I don't pursue teachers, the Idea Shantis, the Leonard Jacobsons, and
Oh, you don't?
I don't because I don't know what to ask. I don't know what to ask. I mean, it's just I don't have any personal questions, and I don't want to go through a script of questions. What's suffering? What's enlightenment? I don't care really, and but I want to talk about stuff I care about.
Right.
So it's important for me to allow you to express your art, your gift. I know people love it, and
Well, you're a very unique interviewer, I'll give you that.
Um,
And I say that with affection, not with.
yeah.
I'm actually saying it with affection. I know what you're saying, and I really get it. But
How would you interview someone if you had to do that? I mean, you don't have to, and
well, I don't
you're
have
in the
to.
position.
I never have, and I'm not sure I would. I don't know. It's a question that nobody's ever asked me.
You might want to interview the guy pumping gas too. You know,
Yeah, I'd say to him, "What's it like to pump gas? How do you feel when you pump gas?
yeah, talk about
Is there a
your father.
point in how does this pumping gas fulfill you?
Yeah,
What's rewarding about it for you?" And like you alluded to before, I mean, he might share a very loving energy. And people don't have to be spiritual, you know.
it is the love. Then that's what you said. You know,
It's the love. Some people are very naturally present also. I used to live in Sedona for a short while, and I used to teach there. And one day I finished teaching, and I went off to the local realtors, and the people in the realtor office were so loving, so kind, so gentle, so available that it was quite beautiful. I really enjoyed meeting them as much as I enjoy meeting any of my students.
yeah. Adyashanti talks about someone he knew who worked in a 7-Eleven. He said the guy had a tremendous presence. He just used to like being in his.
Right,
He used to like buying stuff there.
right.
So there are people.
But from my perspective, Jerry, I'm pretty single-pointed. I mean, I'm here. I've had these awakenings. I have had an awakening. A very clear way of awakening was revealed to me to share with others, and so I'm pretty single-pointed about that. I'm not very interested in conversations, uh, in normal conversation, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
interested
don't
in
blame you.
people's stories. I'm just not interested. I'm not interested in my own story for that matter.
Yeah,
So, you might be interviewing the wrong person here because I'm only really interested in
I
sharing my
know that's
teaching.
I know that's where you come from. And that's why I know Nancy Murray wrote me a few letters trying to
Right,
get me to interview you. I said if Leonard's interested, let's let him get in touch with me. And
right.
then finally, I started to get mad at her. I started to yell at her. Anyway, we
Yeah,
started talking. I ended up interviewing her. I mean, she's a great woman. I'm going to interview her husband too.
right.
And then Mary wrote me, and I got mad at her. I didn't get mad. I just said, let Leonard write me.
Yeah, I know.
And
But
it's like,
that's
if
her
someone
job.
wants to be
That's her
interviewed,
role. Huh?
but you didn't write me probably because, you're probably thinking, well, if it comes together, it comes together. If not, not. I don't know.
Pretty much like that.
And I'm like that too. So nothing happens when that happens.
Well, that's okay. I'm very grateful for Mary to play that role for me.
Then I thought,
What you need is a Mary to do that for you.
yeah, I don't need it.
I'm
But
just
I know
kidding.
you're that kind. I know that's the kind of guy you are. You're just to the point. You're just boom, boom, boom. I get that.
Right.
So anyway, so I guess maybe what I should do is try to bother you, get you off that, and then
Well, it's not going to work, Jerry. So,
it's not going to work.
no.
Yeah, this is great. So I think we're coming near the end of the interview. If you call this an interview, I think you had a very good opportunity to express your teaching.
I
Oh,
did. I always appreciate that opportunity. I honestly, and
we-
I appreciate you giving me that opportunity.
and thank you very much. And just review your two-step teaching again. I mean,
Step one: learning the art of being present, settling into presence, deepening into
mm,
presence, so that you know presence from your own experience rather than believing what someone is telling you. And step two is bringing conscious awareness to all the ways you're pulled out of presence involuntarily. And that's a process that occurs over time, which will ultimately lead to mastery of the mind and ego. Those are the two steps.
Leonard Jacobson, your website's leonardjacobson.com. You're one of the renowned global teachers. I've known about you for decades, and thank you very much for talking to me and putting up with my style of interviewing, which I don't know what it is, but
It is what it is, and actually, I've enjoyed myself with speaking with you.
thank you so much, Leonard. Thanks to Mary,
Okay, well, thanks, Jerry.
and we'll be in touch.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye, Leonard. That was my interview with Leonard Jacobson, and a really big thanks to Leonard. You can just listen to the guy and see he's a natural teacher. I really appreciate him letting me go on about my interviewing style. I mean, I think it's I think it's pretty nice that I can talk about an interview with some people while I'm doing the interview, and that really works best, I think, with people that come from this awakened place, because I don't mean, what else is there to talk about? This is really a problem. I don't know what to talk to these enlightened, awakened people about. So we can talk about what we're doing, the interview itself. So you've been listening to Non-Duality Talk. Our website is nonduality.org. Again, Leonard Jacobson's site is leonardjacobson.com. There's a lot on his website. I'm Jerry Katz. Thank you for listening.